Hi guys, it's Monique from earlylearningmom.com. I am just here today. I'm going to do a Q&A. Recently I went on a right brain education Facebook group that I'm part of and asked the question, I was wondering, what do you guys want to know? We have been working with Doman International for 5 years with my 9-year-old, and my 15-year-old learned how to read as a toddler using the book How to Teach Your Baby to Read. And I should also state that my youngest learned how to read that way too as a baby. And I got a lot of great questions, and I just wanted to share some of them with you. Some of them I am not going to take just because I'm not an expert on them. But that being said, there is a lot of information that I can share, and I'm excited to. So the first question I have is how to set a routine on flashing the word cards with a 20-month-old special needs, global developmental delayed toddler. So toddlers, it's just quick and easy. Couple words, something that they're interested in, their favorite foods, their favorite people, their favorite animals, their pets, favorite TV shows or book characters. Those are all things that are going to catch their attention. And sometimes it's helpful to have the word, and on the other side of the card a picture of the word, not because they can't figure it out, but more just for something for them to look forward to. Toddlers are busy, so you need to make it really quick, and it's best to do it on times that they're already sitting down. So breakfast, supper, dinner, you have 3 sessions right there. You can even space it out to do a session at the beginning of breakfast and a session at the end of breakfast, and beginning of lunch, end of lunch. So you have 6 sessions right there already. We would throw them into, if we were with my oldest, when we were going for, he was in daycare, I would throw them in when we got in the car and when we got out of the car, just adding that in as a routine. But the thing here is not to go over. So if your child can only sit for 3 words, show them 2. You want them to always want more, and make sure that you're picking words that interest them. Toddlers can be tricky, but a lot of the times, sometimes, like, they want to learn, and if you're presenting it to them in a way that's fun and they realize that you're giving them credit that yes, okay, they have a global developmental delay, doesn't mean they are not extremely bright. It just means that they're having trouble sharing this with you. So the fact that you are presenting this information, they're like, oh, finally, here's the good stuff. Best time to flash the words cards. Best time to flash the word cards are the times that you are in a good mood, your child's in a good mood, and you can just slide it in easily. I've even done it where it's like I said, meal time, about to go in a vehicle, rotating it through there, before bath, after bath. You know what? A lot of the times the kids just want to have that attention with you, and so that is enough to be motivating. So I say whenever, what I've done is whenever it is good to fit into our schedule, I fit it into our schedule. How to make it exciting and interesting. You are exciting and interesting on your own. If you make it quick, you pick the proper words for your child, something that they're interested in, even silly words. Go for it. That will keep it interesting. Also making sure you're coming in with a fun attitude as opposed to, it is time for flashcards. Why are you not sitting down? Sit down. It's time for flashcards. They're not going to want anything to do with it. Whereas if you're like, oh, guess what? It's time for your flashcards. Come here, let's tickle, 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 and bring them in, and it's a lot of fun that way. How often do we read books throughout the day, and for how long each time? So I'm not sure if you're referring to the homemade books or if you're referring to commercial books, because both are very important. We do commercial books before bed, and I leave them around the house for Z to pick up and my daycare kids to pick up, and we read for about 20 minutes before bed, minimum. Unless he's already falling asleep. But yeah, when it comes to homemade books, that totally depends on your child. You're going to want short books at the beginning. Nursery rhymes are fun. Songs that they might like, putting the lyrics, that's fun, and keeping it short. And we typically do 3 times a day. and at the beginning we were holding books for about 5 days, so he would see them 15 times before we would retire them. But soon we discovered, like, there were some favorites that he could read over and over and over again and that he loves, but we were finding after 9 times he was losing interest in them. And now we're at the point that I read the book to him twice, and then I flash the book to him once, and that's it for that book. It gets put in the retire pile. It will come back out later, but but it can't come out too soon, or he is completely bored with it and he won't look at it. But each kid is different, so you have to watch. So if you notice your child is not looking at this book anymore, I put in the cover, I make ticks to see how many times we've read it and write dates. And so if I start noticing he loses interest the 9th time we read it, we stop reading books after 8 and we retire them. And the same thing, if it's after 5 times he loses interest, we stop reading after 4 times. Do we repeat specific books for a period of time? Do we switch it up every time? So at the beginning, I would repeat. I would introduce it for 15 times and then see how your child does. So if you're reading it 3 times a day for 5 days, that's 15 times you've read that book. That being said, like I said, you watch your child. And we switch up our books right now. Like I said, we read a book for a day and then we're done with it. Then that being said, there's some books that he loves that are related to characters that he might like, or animals. He loves to read about planets. So some of those books stay in rotation a little bit longer. And the last question by this person is, actual printed word cards or flashed on the computer? Which one is more effective? I don't mind either way. Okay, so science, we all know science says that paper flashcards are better than actual computer flashcards. Kids tend to learn from them better. That being said, both of my boys did use Brill Kids Little Reader, and they did learn from it, and they did love the process. That being said, once we started working with Doman International and took the course and started working with them, we did transition completely to paper books, paper flashcards, or cardstock, just because of the benefits of getting the kids off the computer so much. And we did find that he learned a little bit better doing it that way. But that being said, if you are a busy mom and using the computer software programs is the only way you can do it, or you're in transition moving, or there's real life happening, there is nothing wrong, in my opinion, with using the computer. Both my boys learned very well on it. Okay, the next person asks, how to train a 5-year-old. A recent assessment mentioned she had photographic memory. So I am not an expert in photographic memory. One of my kids speed reads. I'm pretty sure Z does too. That being said, I'm not going to take that one just because I'm not an expert and I don't want to give you misinformation. But I definitely think that following a Doman program and using the How to Teach Your Child to Read, you probably would just go through material faster than some other children might. But that's what a gift. Hi Monique, how to shuffle encyclopedia cards, which topics can be including and rotation, when to repeat mainly. Okay, so for encyclopedic knowledge cards, I have used them in the past. I tend to have transitioned to teaching encyclopedic knowledge through homemade books. It just works better for our family, and I can get the pictures in and I can teach about a specific topic and go right into the facts. That being said, my kids have liked the bit cards and have learned quite a bit from them. But to shuffle the encyclopedic cards, I would keep them, I always kept them in sets. And I would, you have your dog set, you have your cat set, you have your bird set, you have your automobile sets or your plane sets. And I would just shuffle within those and rotate through based on interest. Something here, a lot of parents are interested in like the very fine details, how to present the cards, how to rotate through. that stuff doesn't matter as much. As long as you're showing these kids the information and you're presenting it in a fun and loving way, it doesn't matter if you mix the cat cards up with the dog cards. Eventually, like, obviously you want to keep them separate, but if you land up just making a mammal pack and a reptile pack and a, you know, kids are smart, they catch on. It is just to stimulate the brain. The little details of, well, if I show it 5 times instead of 6 times, that stuff doesn't matter in the grander scheme of things, as long as you're not overshowing these kids things. They're going to catch on. So try not to stress too much about the finer details. They really don't matter. For language, words, how to start couplets and sentences, and how to start guide, please. Okay. So once you have like a handful of words that you've gone through, like individual single words, once you've had about 20, you can start putting those into couplets. Red car, purple hippopotamus. You can start mixing them together. And the sooner the better, because it takes the kids from, these are individual words, this is kind of getting boring. Oh wait, no, they can work together, and they start understanding language. And then once you have a few of those couplets, make phrases. As soon as you can get these in, the sooner the better. The quicker you can get your kiddo into homemade books, the more they're going to be interested in this reading program, and the less likely that you'll run into boredom, because they will understand where they're heading and how much information they can get on their own without your help. So that's super motivating. How should we keep track of words? Any plan, if possible, kindly. It'll be very helpful for a starter like me. Don't worry about it. I know that I was super particular. I would keep a list of words and I would try to keep them all organized. It doesn't matter. As long as you're presenting the words, you're trying to shake it up a little bit. Some kids will be kind of picky, like, oh, I learned the word Dalmatian already. But most are happy for the review if you accidentally present a word that you've already taught. It really doesn't matter. If you want, you can keep graph charts, or I've even gone as far as going through having a specific little kids dictionary where I've checked off the words I've already introduced. But all of that I stopped doing because it was adding work to my plate that I didn't need there. It doesn't matter. At the end, it doesn't matter. How to get started and pattern to follow. Oh, okay. How many cards a day? How many times to repeat? Method to follow for language cards. Method for... The method doesn't matter. The method that does matter is what works for your family. So you read the Glenn Doman's books. And I always say Glenn Doman, like, he had mothers on a pedestal and these mothers, you know, they did the program perfect. And I think he just saw the good in a lot of people, and especially in moms and dads fighting for their kids. And I don't believe these parents ran perfect programs. And I know there are parents that do, but I haven't ran a perfect program with my kiddo. There's been times where we can't do it. Real life kicks in, or maybe I can only get 3 sets of words in instead of 5 sets. And you know what? Z is learning. Both my boys learned. We went with what worked for our family. So that being said, you talk about the reading program, the math program, and the encyclopedia program. I would only start one at a time. Start with your reading program. Get that off the ground. Make sure it's in your routine and you feel completely comfortable. It is just second nature. It's just comfortable to do it. And then add in your next program, which I would probably go with encyclopedic knowledge if I had to choose. You could do math. It's up to you. And add that slowly into your routine until it is a solid part of your routine. And then add in the other subject, whether the one you didn't choose. And that's not so much for your child, that's for you. That is if you come in and you're like, yes, I got this huge program, and you don't work it into a routine and you just try to come in with a humongous program, you are going to burn out. So start off with one set of words day one, then 2 sets of words on day 2, and then 3 sets of words on day 3, and slowly start working them in. You will have a more sustainable program. I know for myself, I wanted everything all at once, but that's not sustainable if you do not work up to it. So that is my number 1 tip for that question. Hi, Monique, would want to know the physical activities I can do with my child. Oh, this is, for Z, physical activity is so important. And by doing that, he has burnt off a lot of energy that he can focus more on the intellectual programs. So crawling and creeping, those are all great. You definitely might need to motivate your child, get on the floor with them, get some of those tunnels for them to crawl through. That can sometimes be tricky to motivate an older child to do that, or not even like a child that knows how to walk. They may not want to kick back to the crawling and creeping, but making it fun. We used to, I had a playlist on my phone of songs that Z loved, and we played that list while he was doing his crawling and creeping. So those are great. Running and walking, those are other important programs. Right now it is freezing here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. So we haven't been outside, and I've noticed that Z is very, very, fidgety, and he really needs that like hour walk that we like to take. During the summer, we were doing a running program. It's a little harder with our winter gear now, so we've kind of gone into a walking program. Brachiation, if you can follow the directions in the Fit Baby, Smart Baby, Your Baby. I believe the directions for the brachiation ladder are in there. If you have a carpenter in the family that can build that. Brachiation is amazing for getting more oxygen to the lungs. It's amazing for cross pattern, and it is also awesome for making the chest bigger, which allows more room for the lungs to inflate and deflate and all that good stuff. So those are some of our favorite programs. We are going to be starting gymnastics shortly, just some simple rolls. It's not, it's more of a program that's designed to help the child with balance and making sure that they are getting lots of oxygen to the brain, because that is a big thing for these kiddos. Yeah, and you know what? I think we're already at almost 18 minutes, so I'm going to stop this video for now. I have a bunch more questions to hit, but I'm going to get those on another day, or share them with you guys another day, just so this video doesn't land up being too long. But I hope that the questions that I've answered so far have been helpful. If you have any more questions about them, feel free to leave it down in the comments below, and I'd be happy to go into a little bit more detail or direct you to what might help. Anyhow, if you like this video, be sure to thumbs up, subscribe, click the little notification bell at the bottom, so that way you can be notified of when I upload new videos. Anyhow, thank you for watching.